Clearly, this morning is one of the greatest mornings of my life. I am sitting next to one of the most attractive women in Trinidad and Tobago, and she is not my representative, but she has been my friend. I taught the young lady at Scarborough Secondary, and she really was one of my special. If there is ever such a thing, she was. And this morning, I'm glad for the opportunity to get so close to her again that I can find out some of her business in detail. Because, we don't know them thoroughly, We only know she going up for Tobago West. And that you chose to do it again. It means that you have been enjoying what has been going on. But I want to know now this morning, who is really Shamfa?
All right, so my name is Shamfa Cudjoe. I am from Mason Hall. I was born in Mason Hall, and I now live in Bethel Village, Tobago. My parents moved from Mason Hall to Bethel in 1990. My mother is from Mason Hall, Wilma Warner, and she married Jeffrey Cudjoe from Bethel.
My cousin, eh?
Yes.
My claim to fame. All right.
Yes, so Peter Jeffrey Cudjoe from Bethel, and I am the fourth of 8 children. So we have 4 boys, 4 girls. I am the fourth. I'm the second girl. I went to Mason Hall Government School until Standard 2, and then moved to Bethel Village and started Montgomery Government School in Standard 3. The teachers at the school found that I needed some more competition, so then I was then moved to Scarborough Methodist. I did common entrance there and moved on to secondary school, where I went to Scarborough Secondary School.
The greatest school.
The best secondary school in the nation.
Yes.
And Ms. Bobb was my food and nutrition teacher. And then proceeded to Signal Senior Comprehensive School, where I did CXCs, went on to university. At that point in time, we didn't have GATE, and I was trying to get scholarship to go on to university, but I wasn't successful in getting one locally, and I didn't get financial assistance when I applied here in Tobago. So I did the SATs, and I scored pretty well and got offered scholarships to about 13 schools in the United States, and I chose Bethune-Cookman College in Florida, where I pursued a bachelor's degree in international affairs and then did a master's degree in international trade policy because I wanted to be a trade negotiator for the Caribbean. I moved back home in 2007, 2008, and I worked as a trade analyst for the Tobago House of Assembly. I also joined the Tobago Youth Council because I was a part of the Youth Council before I left home. And I became president of the Youth Council, and that is where most of my youth advocacy became known. I was invited to a forum, the first Business Outlook Forum that the Tobago House of Assembly had in 2008, to speak on behalf of the young people, because at that point in time we were having the global downturn, the financial crisis that started in the US, and the countries of the Caribbean were looking at how can we prepare our economies to withstand the implications of the economic downturn. So I was asked to speak on behalf of the young people, and it is there that the members of the Tobago House of Assembly and the PNM identified, okay, we want this young lady to come on our team to get more young people to join and to take us in a new direction. So I was asked to join the Strategic Planning Committee of the People's National Movement, and I worked there in the background on the Strategic Planning Committee. And when we lost the election in 2010, I was asked to serve as an opposition senator, and I accepted. And I think from there, the rest
the sky was the limit for you.
Yes.
And I guess you'll continue that way because that is ingrained. You were born with that kind of bounce, if I want to call it my own term, to move from one level to the other like that. Being self-motivated is a very, 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 very important thing. And self-motivated, it was you.
Right. In addition to that, my mother was a stickler for having a proper education.
Oh, yes.
Having 8 of us, and she was a checker at works. My father was a checker also, and she would always ring in our heads, just because I'm a checker doesn't mean I want you to be a checker too. You have to go places that I've never been and see things that I've never seen and meet people that I've never met. So it was always about education. We woke up every morning at about 6 o'clock to the sound of sparrows. Education,
Okay.
every single morning. That was our alarm. And she wanted to be a math teacher, but didn't have the opportunity to go to college. So she just instilled in us that we must get to some form of tertiary education and to do the things she didn't get to. So it was always about education, and we knew no other way other than to educate ourselves to get out of poverty and to try to make better opportunities for ourselves. So it was always about succeeding and being the best at what we were up to. I remember going to school, and whenever you scored 90%, she used to say not good enough. Even if it was an A, she said not good enough. If you scored 90, that means you can get into A plus and score 95. And you would go back, put your shoulders to the wheel. You came in with 98, she would say not good enough. If you can score 98, then you can score 100.
I understand.
Yes, so it's that type of background.
And thank God for mothers like those. Thank God for parents like those who allowed you to propel forward without even much fuss. You just had to do it because it was instilled in you from way back when. I congratulate your mother. Well, Daddy is gone, but I truly congratulate her because of the achievement that her children have had. You said she had 8 children, so did my mommy. And so I have an idea of what propelling ourselves is like, okay? We spoke about your typical day.
My typical day as a member of parliament, I can take you through a typical week so you can get a good idea of what it's like. And
That'd be
let's
lovely,
start
yes.
with Sunday. On a Sunday, I'm in Tobago, so I would go to church in the afternoon.
I heard about that church story.
Yes.
Quite over, yes.
Montgomery Moravian. I
Yes,
attend Montgomery
Tobago.
Moravian Church, so I would go to church, or I would visit different churches since I'm the representative for Tobago West. So I cover Lower Scarborough all the way to Crown Point. So I visit different churches, or I go to church. On Sunday afternoon, I would fly back to Trinidad because on a Monday morning, I'm a part of the Finance and General Purposes Committee, which is a small committee of the Cabinet where you dig deeper and further investigate the notes and the proposals before us. So on a Monday morning, I would do that. On a Monday afternoon, I would return to the ministry and do the work of the ministry. On a Tuesday, it's public day. So on a Tuesday morning or late on a Monday evening, I fly back to Tobago to meet with the public. And that day is, I call it Tobago Tuesdays.
Yes.
So any member of the public can come into the office, speak to me about their issues, and I would pursue them until they are resolved. Or I will do a roving public day. On the 4th Thursday, I take the office to a different part of the constituency, to the community centers, and sit with the constituents. We would partner with private sector entities also to help our constituents with financial planning, with other entities of the state such as self-help, so they can apply for housing and so on, just taking the services of the constituency office to the people. I also would do a monthly visit to schools, to primary schools, so that we can engage young people about the importance of civic engagement. And we would also do different monthly walks, a different community, even if it's a little piece, even if it's one street in that community. I try to stay on the ground from October 16th all the way, October 2016 all the way to today, walking a different path, because I always hated the fact that for politicians, people would say, we only see you at election time.
And I want to intervene here, you know. Some of them overtax you, I find. Because from the time you become a representative, hear how many things you cover and have to do. But yet there is somebody in a little corner in a village who will be saying,
I don't see my MP.
Where are they?
And you see, and I'm only on Tuesday.
Yes.
So on Tuesday night or very early Wednesday morning, I fly back to Trinidad because I'm a part of about 5 parliamentary committees. And committees meet to discuss different bills, different legislation. So I would have committee meetings throughout the day on Wednesday. On a Thursday, I have cabinet. No, I should tell you, on a Wednesday night, I have to read the notes to be prepared for cabinet,
yes.
right? On a Thursday morning, I have cabinet. When I get up of cabinet, I would then meet with different national governing bodies, sport entities, youth bodies that would have written to the ministry asking for a meeting. And late on Thursday night, I would prepare for Parliament. On a Friday morning, I would also prepare for Parliament if I have to speak. On a Friday afternoon from 1:30, I go to Parliament and we sit there until Parliament ends. On Saturday, I fly back to Tobago. If there's somebody whose family died or somebody I need to see, I make that quick visit. On Sunday, I'm back in church again.
Well.
Yes.
Now you've got it there, exactly what she does. And this is not just for her alone. I am making a plug this morning for any politician and every politician. You have to be a little lenient with them, public. Because, Shamfa, our old lady, she wasn't that old then, in fact, it's my spiritual mother. You know her very well, I think. Yes, you were at the funeral.
Right.
And she used to point at me and say, Kenetta, remember a one body you get. Now, how many bodies do you have?
One.
Be careful. Look, I'm limping now, but I'm all right otherwise. I want you, tell me, is there anything about politics so far that you regret? Are you sorry you ever put your foot in that ring? Or are you very happy with yourself as to your level of productivity?
I am happy with my level of productivity because it allows me to offer service to the people I love. I came from the people of Tobago. I was raised here. The different women and men along the way who would have guided me, even if it's to tell me you're in town too late, go home, to help to direct you along the way. I feel like I belong to them. I am who I am today because of the people of Tobago, the people of Tobago West. They would have made an investment in some type of way in who I am. So when I left to study, and then I had the opportunity to work at the IADB and at the OAS in the United States, and they were good jobs, paying good money. In those days, $4,000 US a month was plenty money for a 27, 28-year-old young woman. And I was tempted to stay because I got the offers to stay, but there was something within me that kept saying, I must go home, there is work for me to do. And I didn't know what the work was, but there was just something within me. I'm looking at other countries. At that point in time, we were negotiating the economic partnership agreement with the European Union. And I'm seeing other countries, I'm seeing their positions. I wrote my paper on regional trade integration. And I'm saying we can adapt some of those things here in Trinidad and Tobago. There is work for me to do. So I rushed home. I gave up the job and the opportunity at the IADB, and I came back home. When I came home, I didn't have a job to come home to. I was at home, I was depressed. I had nothing to do because I've sent out letters and resumes and I wasn't getting any responses. Then I saw the Chief Secretary of London had a public day to see the people, and I said, I'm going up there and see him.
Wasn't he your vice principal at Scarborough?
No, my sister. That would have been my sister.
Oh, right, I made a mistake. But I remember the Cudjoe encounter down there. But I thought you were involved in that as well.
No,
he may have already left for Signal Hill Comprehensive.
Signal Hill, probably. Yeah. So I came back and I went to him and I asked him, I said, I've sent out my resumes and I'm not getting any jobs. What's taking place? I need help. So eventually I met Frank Roberts, who was a junior secretary or an assistant secretary in the office of the chief secretary. He was representing Canaan Bonaccord at the time. And his secretary was going on maternity leave. And he asked me to come and help him answer the phone. I said, I have a master's degree. I just came home from working for $4,000 US. And I'm now being asked to answer the phone for $6,000 a month, but I took it.
Yes.
Because it was better than being at home. You had to
somewhere.
And I tell you, that created so many opportunities for me, because while I'm typing documents, I then took the opportunity to give my input and make suggestions. Then he recognized, okay, she can be used
She's
for
no
more than
ordinary woman.
Secretary, right? So then the negotiations and the conversations about internal self-government for Tobago came up. And then I had the opportunity to really write and get into the conversation. And that provided a huge pathway for me to not just sell myself, but really get involved in the business of Tobago and making Tobago a better place for Tobagonians. So I have no regrets getting into politics. It provides a platform for me to make a better life for the people to whom I belong, and I really believe I belong to Tobago people because they raised me. So my degree is not my degree. My degree is our degree.
Yes.
My experience is
right.
Yes. It's our experience. So for me, getting into politics at an early age, though, it's a little challenging because at 28 you haven't had your own family as yet. So the challenge of when do I take time out to really get pregnant and really invest in family like the regular or average woman should. And then how do I balance that with flying back and forth to Trinidad? I hadn't been married yet, so you have to handle dating and getting to know the right people and ensuring that that person is in your life for the right reasons.
Yes.
Because sometimes people come around you because of the political office, so you really have to have a strong sense of discernment as to who is for you and who's not for you. And then at that young age, you don't have the money and the resources and the connections like the older parliamentarians. So it was a learning curve for me also. So I had to learn to get in there and to trust myself and to learn and to grow and to take everything day by day and to be myself. Because at first I was also intimidated. You're sitting on the opposition bench with people like Faris Alwari, an experienced lawyer, Fitzgerald Hines, Penny Beckles, and here is Shamfa.
The big guns, let me call them.
Right, Shamfa from Tobago, a 28-year-old, just returned home from university, and people are asking, who is she? Where did she come from? What is her claim to fame? And as a young woman, you're thrown into the public eye, and people feel the need to make all types of criticisms and say all kinds. You're unprepared, you're too young, so I tried to find my way a little in the beginning, and I tried listening in to the seniors around me and taking points from them and trying to deliver, trying to even speak like them. And then I recognized I'm here to be Shamfa Cudjoe, the Tobagonian, and to bring a Tobago perspective and to speak to my people in their language and to bring a youthful perspective to the parliament also. So I put down all the fancy talk, and my goal was to speak to the woman who is home cooking some fish and okra for her husband right now. Exactly, and to speak to that young person who is my age, who was fooled or tricked into believing that politics is something for rich people or for old people. So I wanted to connect with those people because, one, I wanted Tobagonian to understand this national business of parliament is your business too. Sit in, lock in, tune in, understand. So I spoke to Tobagonians in their language, and for the young people, I wanted young people to know this is your business too. The decisions we make today as politicians and as parliamentarians going to affect you tomorrow. Every loan we take is going to affect you tomorrow. So let your voices be heard. Politics is for young people too. So it has been a great experience and a wonderful opportunity to just serve the people, represent them, speak to different policies and programs that can improve their lives, because at the end of the day, it's about making Tobago better and Trinidad and Tobago better for all of us. And I feel so privileged to be placed in that position, to be a part of the conversation and to influence the decision.
You sound decided. My next question to you almost shouldn't be asked, but I will ask it anyway. How have you enjoyed, used up, utilized 10 years in politics as a young woman?
How did I enjoy using up 10 of my years in politics? You look on and you get to learn to be tough, but it is a difficult thing when you're trying to attract other young women, and that is what prevents young people and good people from entering, especially women, from entering politics, because we are taught to value our reputation and that type of thing, and sometimes people don't want to risk that. But I think that it is important for me to stand here and to not to flinch, to be confident and courageous in all my undertakings, so that other young women, other little girls can learn, and they could look on and say, I want to be like that too, and have their voices be heard and never be afraid. Because when young men get involved in politics, nobody goes to check to see what they're doing in their private lives, if they have 2 women, or even if, nobody does that extra scrutiny or run the rumors that like they do for women. Boys or young men pretty much get a free pass.
Yes.
And because you're a woman, they're trying to check to see how you're handling your home life, how you're doing this, how you're doing that. I remember being in a relationship or in a marriage where things didn't go too good, and we decided to separate. We were young, we were inexperienced, we thought we knew how to solve all our problems. We needed counseling, but we felt like counseling was taboo, like that was something for a different class or style or color of people. So we didn't even get marriage counseling to get married. Because we thought we were young and we were ready and we were in love. So I felt like we did a lot of things that we shouldn't have done, or handle arguments in a way that they shouldn't have been handled. It's not to say that this was a horrible man or I was a horrible woman. We just were inexperienced and didn't know how to handle this. But anyway, the time came and I decided, okay, love is no longer being served here. I feel like I need to move on from this. And I remember feeling cornered because some of the people around me kept saying, you married to, for better or worse, to death do us part. Tobago people will frown on you. Tobago people don't like divorce. And I'm here like, I am struggling. I can't breathe.
I know the story.
And I had to take the decision to say, you know what, I am going to get up and move on. And the kind of criticism that I faced here as a young woman, it was difficult. But I had to do what I had to do for me. So as a young person, we face some different challenges and some unique challenges. And even as young women, the public is so hard on us. And oftentimes we are hard on each other. So I had to learn strength in being a woman in politics. And I had to remember that this is not just about me. I want to stand so strong that other women look on and say, you know what, I can do this too. I can be strong too. So it's about, flying the flag and being that role model also. Public life calls for a new type of responsibility. If I want to put on a shorts now and go to town, I can't do that. I can't do that. Like the average woman who can do that, I can't do that because there are other people looking on. I have to dress properly. I have to speak properly. I have to carry myself in an honorable way because it's not just about me. When I step out of my home, I represent myself, my family, my community, women, the country. So the responsibility is very great, and I'm pleased to have learned and have grown in this position.
You have indeed grown, Shamfa. You're saying it lightly, but it's far deeper than that. And the fact that you have, given yourself up, given your life up as an example to younger women is a great, 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 great achievement. So you're a leader. Tell me something about your leadership. It may be unique, it may be beautiful, it may be hard. Tell me about it, please.
My leadership style. I think leadership is about being responsible. It's about responsibility, taking people to where not where they really want to go, but where they need to be, helping people to recognize that there are solutions don't just lie with me, it lies with them too. I think that that is particularly important in a Tobago scenario, to help Tobagonians and to encourage Tobagonians that they have the power to change their fate and to be champions of their destiny also. So for me, it's not just about giving somebody a work or just spoon feeding my people. It's about helping them to recognize, to identify their abilities also, and to pursue their goals, to be who they dream that they can be.
Yes.
So for me, it's about empowerment, and I think that makes my leadership style unique. It's not just coming by me to say I want to work. I ask you, wait, what do you want to be when you grow up? Yes.
Exactly.
And I take you all the way back to what are your goals, what's your vision, and then lead you to where you can get the necessary help and the guidance until that goal is realized. So I try to remain accessible. I'm the type of representative the people can call on. They can call me, text me, send me a WhatsApp, send me a Facebook message. I try to always be there, right with the people. That is why my slogan this time around is called Right There With You, because I'm a part of these people.
Yes.
So I belong to them. I like to say I belong to them, because when they call, I have to always be able to respond and to help to the best of my ability. If they call me to a wake, to a function, to a Tobago heritage, I have to say yes. I have to prioritize in such a way that they come first, and I'm always available, accessible, useful, and relevant to them. And to me, that is what makes my leadership style unique. It's not just about me. The people must feel empowered, and they must feel strengthened through my leadership also.
You are indeed effective. Have I used up all the adjectives that there are in the dictionary regarding you?
Thank
The
you.
fact is that every time I hear the name Shamfa Cudjoe, I feel so good that I knew you. I don't know you completely, I can't. But believe me, I'm glad for the contribution that you are making as a young woman. So what sense of purpose is there in your movement as a politician, in your movement in life?
For me,
I gather that you want to train young women if they're sensible. What else?
For me, I grew up in a large family, 8 children. We're all just about 1 year apart. And so we sort of had to, I wouldn't say compete for parents' attention, but our parents will constantly say, especially my father, there is room under the sun for everyone. So even though it's one sun, it doesn't shine on one flower. It shines on all the flowers, giving them all the opportunity to bloom. It's that same sun that shines on the flowers, that shines on the seas, that shines on everything else, giving it life. So even though it's one sun, there's room under the sun for everyone to shine and be great. So you don't have to compete, you don't have to try to outdo each other. Just be the very best that you can be and shine. The rose doesn't compete with the tulip, doesn't compete with the sunflower, doesn't compete with the hibiscus. We are all unique in our own right and born with our own purpose. And that guides my life. Knowing that each and every person that you meet along the way has purpose, an important purpose. And that each person is just as important as you are. So everybody you meet is for a reason, it's for a purpose. They have their own purpose and so on. So that guides all my undertaking, to remind me to go out there and be the very best that I can be, and to not just see good in me, but to also see good in others. And to not just know that I'm capable of great things, but to know that each and every other person is capable of good things too. So it's about using my light to shine on you and your light to shine on me, and we grow together. I don't have to pull you down, or I don't have to speak badly about you or do badly to you for me to shine.
I like the story you just raised there about about it. about what am I thinking of? The pulling down. Why do I have to pull you down to get a place to shine? We don't need that. In that garden out there, I love flowers. I mean, want to know how a lady who can walk around so good these days could have so much flowers and care about them. And that's exactly what God would like all of us to do. Share in His beautiful garden. Allow each other to grow and bounce off.
That's right.
Allow each other to have their talents exhibited and showed off, if you want to call it that. You understand? I have talent, so do you. Why must you envy me? Because you're not to think no nonsense. You're supposed to live and grow and guide and be what God wants you to be.
That's right.
He's not an impossible God, you know. But I just preach, you know that, Shamfa?
Yes,
so I'm going off the... Go ahead.
So I would say that is the main guiding principle in my life, in politics, in everything I do, so that everybody can identify what is their purpose and not just do it, but do it with a level of greatness and sophistication that it shows the light of God and what God intends for all of us to be. So that came from the teaching of my father. There's room under the sun for everyone to shine, to bloom, and to be great. And it's about helping others to recognize their greatness and knowing that I can shine alongside you and you could shine alongside me too.
You know, you're talking a lot about you right now. And you will forgive me if I bring in my sister Verlene. Somehow, at some point in that child's life, I'm the biggest, that's what I boldly call it.
Okay, that child.
She lost both legs. You know, she had no foot.
I remember.
And something about her lifestyle makes a lot of people around me, they tell me they could only they will do anything, because if Berlin could be driving about, working in ministry, doing that, all those, she's not easy, you know. You understand what I'm saying? And this is because God is making her shine forward, and God is, she knows the ability of God. She knows what should be happening. Like you do at this point in time, impressing upon my heart that you know what you are about. And I'm so happy. Did I put up my hand and point to you? Nothing wrong with that. Yes. Tell me, Shamfa, one of the toughest, what you consider to be one of the toughest decisions you have had to make in your whole political life so far?
The toughest decision, well, being involved in politics and in positions, in a position of leadership, you always have to make tough decisions. Every day you have tough decisions to make, because any little thing you do, you're in public life, so you're exposed to the public. There will be implications, and there are two of the toughest decisions that I can think about right now. One would be a personal one, and that would of course be to walk away from a relationship that wasn't
I hope you don't look back there very often.
No, not anymore, because at first you struggle with it.
Yes, of
because
course.
You wonder, how did this work for me? You know, and things went downhill so fast. What could I have done? What should I have done differently? You know, that type of thing. And then everybody's around you saying, no, the strength of a woman is to fight and to
stand up and take kick and so. The bold-faced boy. If you cannot handle the situation, you're under pressure, but the public says, stay
just
and
hang in there.
Oh,
a very difficult decision that I had to make was being Minister of Tourism. And very early I recognized that this tourism development company thing, it just wasn't working out for Tobago's best interest. You had this entity that was responsible for marketing Trinidad and Tobago, but somehow Tobago tend to be on the on the bad side of things all the time. At the end of the day, we didn't get the business we deserve, the marketing we deserve, or the type of marketing that was critical to advance the Tobago product. So I put things in place to undergo a study, and in the end we decided to dissolve the TDC and have Tobago responsible for its own marketing, its own management, its own resources, and so on. I took a lot of licks for that. A lot of licks, and there were people in the media saying all types of things and different attacks and assault on my character, because I had to take that professional decision, which I firmly believe was in the best interest of the country, because the Trinidad product is so different from the Tobago product. And then Tobago being responsible for tourism under the THA Act, it was only right for Tobago to fully be responsible for marketing the destination and managing the destination. I felt so sure about that decision, and I had the support of the cabinet and the Prime Minister. But the kind of licks that I took and that restraint that I had to practice to not break down, to not respond, because sometimes people say some things about you and you're tempted to respond.
Yeah, I know the story. I start smiling before you finish that.
Even here in Tobago, there were so many people saying all types of things, and it was a challenge for me, because at that point in time you're fresh as a minister, you want to please, you want to serve, you want to represent people well, and you want every move you make to be successful. At that point in time, it looked like a failure. But here we are, a good 3-4 years later, and Tobago Tourism Authority is doing so well in marketing Tobago, and they are well poised to develop standards in Tobago and to manage their own business as we should. I have every confidence that the Tobago House of Assembly and the Tobago people can manage its own business, especially as it relates to Tobago tourism. So now as I look back and I remember the beatings that I took and how hard the decision was for me, I can now smile. Because it helped to shape me. People said so many nasty things, sent personal messages to me,
really?
all types of things.
Ooh.
Yeah, and I said, you know what? I'm not going to respond. And it strengthened my belief in God.
Of course.
I said, I'm not going to fight for myself.
No.
God is going to fight for me, and in the end, they will see.
Yes.
And so said, so done. Here we are 3-4 years later, and we are managing our own business, and we are well capable of. I am quite sure that there is nothing we miss from being under the TDC.
Okay, darling. We have come thus far with the assistance of some people. You could never have done this alone. And you know that?
Yes.
And therefore there are people who are your mentors. Would you like to
I can
develop on this?
I can share a little bit on mentorship.
Yes.
Oftentimes we're told, find a mentor and stay close to this mentor. And sometimes as young people not accustomed to that type of training or that type of brought up we go out there looking for this one person. I'm going to find this one person, and this person is going to be my mentor, and I'm going to stick to that person. And my life and my experience have taught me that it's no one person. It's the different people that I have met along the way that would have taken keen interest in my development, who at different times or different legs of the marathon or the journey or the relay, they were able to give me some type of guidance. So let's start with, for instance, Deborah Moore Miggins, and working at Deborah Moore Miggins when I first got out of school, a fifth form as a July-August worker, exposed me to some things that I wasn't aware of before. In my family, we were told, go to school, get your subjects, and move on to UE or go to get in the public service. When I interacted with the Miggins family, I saw a bigger world beyond UE, beyond entering the public service. I saw access to American universities, that there was something
Oh
called
my.
the SATs, that I didn't have to limit myself to Tobago and Trinidad or to the Caribbean. I could look elsewhere.
Elsewhere.
So she taught me how to apply to colleges, how to get the necessary help and guidance as it relates to financial aid and so on. And that changed my life tremendously. And now my sisters and brothers follow the same path. Then I can speak about a different chapter in life, going on to university, and I got myself involved in Delta Sigma Theta sorority, and those American young women created that family for me outside of my own family, because I was just thrown into Daytona Beach, Florida, no family, no friends, nothing. And those women helped to mentor me, helped me to manage my temper, how to school and to culture myself as a young lady, you know, how to dress for work. They helped me in my professional development as a young woman away from home. So there were so many women who would have served as mentors, from my mother to my aunts, godparents. You had people,
Gracie.
yes, and Gracie, of course.
Yes.
You had people who just kept cheering for me and telling me to press on, to move on, to stand up, to stand tall. To me, those are mentors.
Yes.
In the political world, I tip my hat, I salute Mr. Ovid Delano, London, because he
Really?
worked with me. Yes, he worked with me.
Good to hear.
He really worked with me because
Yes.
as a grown, experienced man, he was the one who was very adamant about giving me a chance to serve, to see what young people can bring to the politics. Because there were so many people when I was selected to be senator was saying I was too young, I wasn't trained in the politics, I didn't do my...
People.
And he
They could
kept
be your
saying-
friends as well as they could be your worst enemies, depending on which direction you're looking.
That's right. And he kept telling me, go out there, give it your best shot. Think. Your business is to be honest, be confident, tell the truth, always tell the truth, and don't ever hesitate to go back, do your research, find the facts, because if you don't tell the truth now, it'll come upon you later.
Of course.
And I respect him so much for that. He always said, tell them the story. No matter how good or how bad it is, the people deserve to know what is taking place with their business and their monies. So tell them. Oftentimes in politics we think, well, oh my God, if the people find out this, they wouldn't vote for me, they wouldn't. No, but it's most important for people to know. Yes, I promised X, Y, or Z, but this is why I wasn't able to deliver.
Okay.
You shouldn't be too proud to not be able to go back to say, yes, I promised this, or yes, I made this commitment, but this is what happened. They need to know. It's like a marriage, a partnership with the people, and they must be a part of it too. So he always encouraged me to be forthright, to be honest in all my undertakings, and to understand that I have issues, other people have issues too, so to be delicate with each other. And I respect him tremendously for that. For then Dr. Rowley, it's a pleasure being in his circle. I think he is the most brilliant leader that we have in the Caribbean.
Oh yes,
right
I
now.
can stand and bow for that. The man proper.
Yes, and
I went to school with him, you know. I went to school in Oval too, you know. You understand? Went to school with good people.
Good people. Yeah, so what I like about Dr. Rowley, I found some difficulty understanding him in the beginning. I felt that he was so hard and fast. And I didn't understand that. But with him, there is no gray area. It's either right or wrong. It's white or black. There's no gray area. It's either truth or false. There's no mix-up story in between. And for him, I felt like when he gives you a duty to do, an instruction, it's because he trusts you to carry out that instruction
and he knows
with
probably
diligence.
you can deliver.
So he didn't baby me. Now, there was a difference in his leadership style to Mr. London. Every step along the way, I can call Mr. London, should I do this way? What do you think about this? What do you think about that? So I wouldn't call it spoon feeding, but there was a constant guiding hand. Yes, like a father.
He is the teacher in him.
Right. But for Dr. Rowley, he gave you an instruction or he gave you a duty. And I've grown to learn that there is an honor to be given that duty, because he wouldn't give you that duty if he didn't think you could do it. So don't go back and check back and ask him how and when, and like he doesn't like you to be timid.
Yes.
He wants you to act with courage, act with confidence, and to be truthful. He hates lies. So don't you even think you could try to trick him or smart him or try to do something dodgy. He has a 6th or 7th sense as it relates to that. So at first you could easily fear him. Yeah? But after a while you get to learn, this is a huge human being, almost larger than life, as it relates to his leadership, his experience, his wisdom. And the reason he has given me this duty is that he believes in me. So I have learned not to fear him, but to respect him tremendously. I have a huge amount of respect for Dr. Rowley.
And goodness.
And it's an honor to serve next to him. Yes.
I'm happy about that. That I've been to school with those, can I call them boys? They were little.
For you.
Right? And that we came out. I came out something too. Maybe not as my mommy and my daddy may have wanted me to, but here I am, doing the best I could in my little corner, just as you are doing all of the stories you've told us in your corner. Don't run out your corner, you're going to get pulled out. You ever play rounders and them things?
Oh, yes.
All right, good.
Yes.
Now we are down to our final question, and that has to do with family relations, I think. What are your favorite Tobago sayings? I am putting story in your mouth by telling you about family now. But since you have called your mother's name, you have referred to your sisters, you have referred to your father, you have referred to various people who have mentored you and fathered you and mothered you along the way. But I want you to tell me now some of your favorite Tobago sayings. What is your favorite? I'm saying some. You could have one, you know. You could have only one if you wish. But I'm just opening you up to that.
I have three. There's one that says, rough water or rough seas can't kill turtle picnic.
Well, tell me how that could ever happen.
Right.
Turtle picnic, half a land full of a sea.
That's it. That's it. Yes, so
Yes.
it's said in different ways. It's said the way you said it, I've heard say, rough seas can't kill turtle picnic. And when you're born for something, or when you're cultured in such a way to handle difficult times, there is nothing and nobody that can throw you off course. What is for you is for you. And if you remain focused in all your doings, and if you believe that you are truthfully and rightfully made to fulfill your purpose, no matter how rough the seas, once you have done your training and you've developed your skill and you've developed your knowledge, to stand tall and to stand proud and to stand confidently and courageously, and know that you
I want to
cannot
cut
be
your hair
touched
again because I grew up knowing what the sea was. You believe? I'm from Lansome, you know that. Daddy had boat, Uncle Charles had boat, Grandpa had boat. Oh, we used to buy. I know we live on boat top because we had to come from Lansome, come through Plymouth, and then come to town in car. Do you understand?
Yeah.
And so, sometimes those seas seem so rough. Owen used to skin his face for you when you see you look like you want to, you know what I mean? But the seas were rough and you had to make it anyway.
That's right.
And so I'm glad to cut you at this point, but I'm not finished with you. What's the third one?
Of the second one, I have two more. The second one is one cocoa is full basket.
Yes.
One cocoa full basket.
Yeah.
That means
you did that
you
for
have
Heritage
to take,
one, yeah.
Yes, I love
That's
that one. It's about developing incrementally. Sometimes we want to run before we creep.
Yes.
And it's about every little investment you make in yourself, every little drop in the basket helps to fill the basket.
Of course.
So it's about continuous growth and development that you would eventually get there.
Yes.
So I like that. And my favorite of all, coming from a strong family, is you could strain water, but you can't strain blood. And that speaks to the importance and tightness of family. You make friends, you interact with other people, but your family remains the foundation and the cornerstone. For us, growing up in a large family, a poor family also, we were taught from very young, all you really have is each other.
Yes.
That's what my parents said. All you really have is each other. When we lived in Mason Hall, it was a 2-bedroom house, and my mother and father, along with the youngest child at that time, Aisan, was in one room, and then the other 5 of us were in the other room. I know that
story, girl, and some when we come out.
Yes.
And that's exactly how we live. Those who used to pee bed island.
That's what I'm saying.
Had a corner in the house to sleep.
Well, once the ones that pee bed stayed on one bed, and then you have the other bed for the people who didn't pee bed, but we were all in that same room.
Yes.
So, and we're all already 1 year apart, just 1 year apart. So we learned to play 12 and under together, to play library together, because it was enough of us to do that type of thing. And we grew up sharing with each other, learning from each other. I remember there was a time in my teenage years where my brother and I shared the same going out shoes. So we can't go to the same event.
Oh.
Yes, because we had finally gotten the ability to buy an Adidas sneakers. Yes, and we want to show we had the Adidas sneakers because everybody else looking nice. But we can't go to the same event because
this one tickles me. It really does.
So those are the types of experiences I remember.
Taught you sharing.
Yes, and sacrifice also, because in our home, when you got to the age of 12, there were days when only those under 12 got milk in their tea. Those over 12 didn't get milk because there wasn't enough powdered milk to go around.
Stage.
Right.
And look how you're looking nice still.
So for us, it's about family. Even having 3 school shirts to go to school, and on a Wednesday, mommy would wash it again. She would say, just because you don't have much, others don't have to know. You have to make sure you're clean out there. Stand up. When we leave to go out to a function, I cannot come back without my brothers and sisters. We have to wait for each other. When we get to that door, we have to be together. So no matter if you went your own way, you had to be there. And so going to university and getting my education, it brought upon me the responsibility to look out for my brothers and sisters also. We are tight. We are so close. We cannot live without each other. That is how close we are. We go out and people want to know, but you were just at home with your brothers and sisters. Why are you out liming together? But we face the hungry nights together. We face the challenges together. And that's what you show you have. You show. As the sun is to rise tomorrow, you have family. And we were brought up like that. And even in this grown, mature age, it's not going anyway. We need each other to survive. And before my father died, he said, I don't want much. I just want my children to keep living in love. Yeah. Just keep living in love. And here we are, still 8 of us. With mommy, my daddy died at 51.
Young boy, I remember that thing, the boy.
So that was a tough time for us to keep the boys intact, because the boys were tempted to do all types of things. Yes.
Vulnerability.
Yes, and to help mommy. And the way they did it, from young, it's 8 of us. When we go, a boy, a girl, a boy, a girl, a boy, a girl. That boy was responsible for protecting the girl right after him. And that girl was responsible for caring for the boy before her. So O'Malley is responsible for protecting me, and I am responsible for ironing his school shirts, making sure his clothes washed, This is in secondary school, making sure he eats properly. So they gave us that responsibility from very young. So the boys are responsible for protecting the girls, and the girls are responsible for caring for them. And that was the culture in our family. We are inseparable. I can't find other words to describe us, because that's all we really know.
And I am indeed proud of it. You're talking about it, and you've taken me back to our childhood days as well. We had to produce. We had to do it together. I was the oldest one. I had to treat the rest with a kind of growing respect. In other words, you don't go and do crazy things and expose them. You're not just exposing yourself. Thank you, Shamfa, for being here this morning. Shamfa, tell her thanks before I'm done. It does happen sometimes. What are the 3 events which really help to shape your life?
For me, I can point out 3 events, and those would be: 1, the death of my father. My father died at 51. At that point in time, I was away in university. I was about 22, 23 years old, and my little brother was 8 years old. It was a traumatic experience for us, because he was so young. He had a stroke, and I think that he did everything right. He exercised, he ate well, he was Rasta, of course, so he didn't eat meat, and he kept a pretty decent diet. He read, so I couldn't fathom how could this have happened to him, that he had a stroke. So he had a stroke, and then later on had a heart attack and just left us. He was getting better, and we felt like, okay, he's walking around, he's watching the news, he's having conversations, all is well. And one evening he called, my mother called me. She was concerned about him, and when I spoke to him, he said, he whispered to me, he said, "I am afraid." And I'm like, "You're afraid? This man so big, so bold, so strong, who taught us everything, who knows everything, who was everything to us. This is the first time he's admitting fear." My father was big man. He used to say, they would talk about Jesus, they talk about Joseph, and they would talk about Jeffrey. Think about that kind of bravado, you know? So I like that about him.
Yes.
He was a macho man. And to hear him say, "I'm afraid," and I said, "Why are you afraid?" And he said, "My heart keeps going," you know, he started making this song. So he was having heart problems. And that worried me that night. And the following day, I heard he died.
Just right there.
51 years, died. And my mother was in her 40s. And we couldn't fathom, okay, Daddy was everything to us. Everything. He kept us safe. Every night he came home, he would walk around the whole house, and we were accustomed to that. As sure as once he gets home, he would walk around the whole house, check every room, make sure everybody's in their bed. That kind of father. So to just lose him like that, he makes sure we read, he makes sure we knew about life. I used to go people watching with my father. We would park in town, and we would just watch people. And he would say, "You see those two? Those two are in a relationship, but they're having problems. Based on how they walk." Yeah? And he taught me about the power of thinking and developing positive thoughts, because your actions and everything follow those thoughts. So I learned so much from my father. My father used to let us watch TV on mute. Oh. So you're watching a whole TV program on mute, and very close to the ending, he would put out the volume and have you express to him what you think the storyline was about based on what you were
But that was great literature.
Right, so I learned how to read lips and so on. I can read lips from afar, whole conversation based on body posture and so on. So he taught us these strange things that when you explain them to people, they think you're weird, or what kind of father you had. So, but Daddy was everything to us. When Daddy left, and then I came back with an education after, it then became my responsibility to help to serve as Daddy. So now my little sisters are now off to university. I have to make sure their room and board is covered. I have to make sure that they're taken care of. I have to take responsibility for the last one who was 8 years old when daddy died, because I felt like mommy got tired, or it got a little too much for her after raising all these children. Then daddy leaves, so I had to fill the gap and provide for them and make sure everything is on course. So it was more than being a big sister. I became a parent real quick. So then my father used to name the children in our family. I took that on. It became sort of natural to me, so I learned how to name children. So all my nieces and nephews, I've named them. And that's a big responsibility for me.
Of course.
That's my power in the family. Yes. I take that very seriously. But it was hard. And it was a defining moment because it showed me responsibility very early.
Okay.
The second defining moment or event in my life was getting an education. Having access to tertiary education. I remember graduating from school in 1998 and wanting to go to college and not knowing how and not having the money to. Then when I got the scholarship to go away and to study, that opened a world of opportunities that I can do anything I want to do and be anything that I want to be just because of an education.
Yes.
I wish every Tobago child would recognize the power of an education. Because when we moved from Mason Hall to Bethel, we didn't have doors and windows. My parents used galvanized at the doors and the window spots. Yes, and we used my grandmother's latrine. So now having an education and now having the ability to afford to help my sisters pay their accommodation at school, to move from galvanized to doors, I saw that type of development, that type of progress. And it didn't start with me because my eldest sister had left. Those were the days when you had to leave Tobago for a better opportunity. She left to go to college and she was working and so on. So we started seeing US dollars coming in the house, and that helped us bit by bit. So looking at the journey and what education allowed us to do, we went from having one car in the household to two and so on. It improved our standard of living, and it impressed upon me the power of education to change your life, to transform your family and your community. So that was a defining moment for me, because I feel like I can do and be anything once I study and put my mind to it. And the third defining factor or event in my life would be having the opportunity to serve in the highest in the highest level of the land, the parliament. Yes, to be able to speak on behalf of my people and to be in a position where I can actually help people, influence the process and provide assistance, to serve, to represent their interests. It impressed upon me the importance to live my life in a proper way, because there are others looking at me as a role model. There are others depending on me. Yeah? So it caused me to have to channel my energy and culture myself in a very positive and deliberate way to ensure I stay on the right path and that I remain accessible, relevant, and of service to those people. I began belonging to them even more. I can't do something because I feel like, or just say something wildly because I feel like. I have to be oh so careful because I represent them, and one wrong comment or action could not just destroy me, but it could be detrimental to my people. And that is a huge responsibility. So I have to be guarded in just about everything I do. And that has changed my life. It caused me to have a greater respect for God also, because I know I wouldn't be here and I wouldn't last this long in politics if it weren't for God. Because if looking at some of the things said about me and some of the things done to me, if some people could have buried me, they would have.
Oh, long time.
you know.
I know that feeling.
But God protects little children,
Yeah.
fools, and me.
So I hear.
Yes, and I strongly believe that.
Yes.
So I know we talk about everything and everybody, family, professional colleagues, and so on. But God is everything. To sit among my colleagues and to sit in the same room with the Honorable Keith Christopher Rowley as my Prime Minister and as leader of the cabinet, and feel a certain level of parity where I can speak to my issues and my concerns without feeling afraid.
Yes.
And feel like this is my equal, this is my colleague, to speak up and on behalf of the people of Tobago without fear or favor and with a certain level of courage and confidence. I know that's not just me. That's God. And to have your positions accepted and respected by the Prime Minister and by your colleagues, to stand in your position and to stand firm, because just like I'm there to fight for Tobago, San Fernando East is there to fight for San Fernando, Arima is there to speak up for Arima, and I have to speak with a level of confidence and authority and sureness that my position is taken seriously so that there can be delivery for the people of Tobago. So at the end of the day, I like to say, but God. I wouldn't be where I'm doing what I'm doing, or in this, or having the opportunity to influence the decision making, and even to represent my people, if it weren't for God. So I give all thanks, praises, honor to God, because He has a way of working out everything. I don't have to fight any battles for myself.
No.
I can express to you the excitement and the relief and the peace I feel knowing that I can come directly to God. I don't need anybody to go to God for me, and God would do what He said He would do, and He fights battles for me. I don't have to answer anybody.
No.
I don't have to fight up with anybody. God fights for me, and that, my friend, that is enough. Yeah. So whatever my lot, God has taught me to say, praise the Lord.
Yes,
it is well with my soul.
Hasn't this been a beautiful morning?
Thank you, it has.
Yes, thank you. My day is well made because I got to close up with you again. Well, not as before, but I own you somehow. Not just Tobagonians in a group. I am so proud when you come on that and you keep talking. Anybody ever tell you that? Yeah, you can talk and talk well, and I'm proud of you, and I will continue to be proud of you. Thank you for the morning's experience.
Thank you, Miss. I appreciate it, and it has been a pleasure to be here with you this morning and to fellowship with you once again. And I want to sincerely thank you for your contribution to my development in guiding me throughout school and helping me along the way. So thank you for having me this morning.
You're welcome.